Hello everyone, welcome to the Analyst of Vajiram and Ravi. In today's news discussion, we shall be doing an in-depth analysis of the following articles derived from both the Hindu and Indian Express. So let's look into the table of contents. In the first article, we will discuss about the recently published tiger census, and we will analyze the status of tiger conservation with national domain and in international domain. Then we will look into the geopolitics of Indo-Pacific, which has been highlighted recently by the French President Emmanuel Macron. In the third article, we will read about the menace of plastic pollution that has been highlighted by Nature Report. From prelims point of view, we will be covering the regional connectivity scheme called UDAN and National Air Quality Index, which has highlighted that Delhi has seen its cleanest air of this year. Also, a gentle reminder that the handout of this analyst is available in the description down below, so do check it out. Let's get started from the first news article. This pertains to GS3 part of the syllabus, where we talk about environmental conservation and biodiversity preservation. The news is that India's population goes up. Madhya Pradesh has got the most big cats. So on account of 29th of July, which is also celebrated as World Tiger Day, Tiger census has been published by NTCA, National Tiger Conservation Authority, and Wildlife Institute of India. So the report has highlighted that the tiger populations have soared from 2006, where it was only of about 1400, to 2022, where it has got up to 3000 or 3600. Okay. While we can see that the populations have soared up in India, this particular feline species is considered as a threatened species and therefore finds its place as of endangered status in the IUCN Red List. What causes the endangerment or what causes the threatening of the species? First and foremost is the man-animal conflict. Man and animal both are conflicting since time immemorial for their habitat expansion. While tiger is a territorial species, it would like to expand itself, move out of the forest areas. Similarly, a man, he would do urbanization, he would do deforestation to pursue agricultural activities, he would do industrialization. So therefore, the habitat overlap will take place and this encroachment will cause man-animal conflict. The second is hunting, poaching and illegal trade since historical times, because poaching of tigers have been considered as a status of authority, as a status of power. So therefore, our Rajas, Maharajas have been following hunting and poaching. Not only that, their organs, their bone and teeth have been considered very precious for medicinal purposes, and therefore they have been illegally traded even till date. Third, loss of habitat and loss of prey species. Tiger is an umbrella species, it's a keystone species. It reflects the health of a particular habitat, a particular ecosystem. So when the habitat or the status of the prey degrades, the tiger population also degrades and vice versa. So this is also one of the reasons. Now when we understand that this species has been endangered, what are the conservation efforts that have been taken by India and at international level as well? Let's analyze that. See, India needs to be upfront, needs to take a lead in the conservation effort. Why? Because about 70% of the total tiger population belongs to India. India has begun with Project Tiger, launched in the year 1973 by the Indira Gandhi government. This is a 100% centrally funded scheme which calls for setting up National Tiger Conservation Authority, which manages the conservation of tiger and has objective of providing in situ conservation of the tigers in their particular habitats. Now, Project Tiger has been substantiated with international cooperation, because as we know, tiger is territorial in nature. It is not limited to a particular nation. It will move across the tiger range countries. So we have neighborhood countries like Bangladesh. We have got bilateral agreement with Bangladesh to conserve Sundarban forests, Sundarban tigers. We have got Tramka bilateral agreement with Bhutan in order to preserve the transboundary movement of the biodiversity. So these are some of the bilateral agreements. India also understands that we need to regularly assist tigers, not only tigers, their prey species and their habitats, in order to evaluate our performance. So for that, we have been using M-stripes. This question has been asked by UPSC in the prelims examination. This is a monitoring framework which uses GPS technology to geotag the tigers in real time in order to get the real-time field data. Not only that, we analyze our tiger reserves according to an international standard which is called MEE framework, Management Effectiveness Evaluation Framework. Also, we have been utilizing some drone technology to perform surveillance and monitoring of tigers. So for this, we have been using eBirds project. We also understand that man-animal conflict is prevalent, especially in the tiger range areas. So for that, India has deployed Special Tiger Protection Force to perform anti-poaching initiatives. Okay. NTCA also understands that sustainable tourism also needs to be developed in the tiger habitat areas. So therefore, normative standards for tourism activities and Project Tiger guidelines has been issued by NTCA in the year 2012 to promote sustainable tourism. Now obviously, these conservational efforts have led us to some achievements. First and foremost is recently highlighted by the tiger census. So it has showed that the tiger population has soared up to about 3,000 feline population in India. So that is one achievement. Second is we have overperformed in the TX2 initiative. It is a global initiative which calls for doubling the tiger population in the 13 tiger range countries. Now, this target was to be achieved by the year 2022, but India achieved this 4 years in advance in the year 2018. So good to go on that. Next, 14 tiger reserves of India have been CATS accredited. What does it mean? They have been practicing some of the best management and conservational strategies to promote the population, to perform proper breeding of tigers and conservation of tigers. So we have got 14 tiger reserves CATS accredited. Some international cooperations are also going on for tiger conservation. First is Global Tiger Initiative, which is launched by the 13 tiger range countries along with India. It has got some funding mechanism promoted by Global Environment Facility and World Bank. So it is there to provide you funds, monetary support and other supports in order to conserve forests in these areas. The second is Global Tiger Forum. India has been one of the founding members of this particular forum. It also calls for promoting the conservation across the tiger range countries. Then TX2 initiatives launched by St. Petersburg in order to double the number of population in the tiger range countries. So these were the international cooperation, international efforts. While conservation is there in place, there are still some challenges and therefore tiger is endangered, right? So what are these challenges? First and foremost, the lack of confidence and lack of trust from the people. Therefore, animal and wildlife conflict takes place. Therefore, retaliatory killings are taking place because we are not very accepting of it. Second, lack of adequate protection of tigers outside the areas. They are territorial, they are bound to move outside. While they are very much protected inside the core areas, they are very endangered outside of it. Rehabilitation, relocation of population from the critical tiger habitat is also an issue because construction activities, residential activities not allowed over there. So we definitely need to move the population out. But where do we rehabilitate them? We don't know. Then, some of the tiger reserves, for example, Sundarban tiger reserves have reached the carrying capacity. So tigers are prone to move out of the areas. But some others like Simlipal tiger reserves have isolated population of tigers, which means that very far off from these areas, we are not able to find tigers. So this isolated population leads to inbreeding, and this inbreeding causes genetic disorder. For example, the occurrences of black tigers are seen in the Simlipal tiger reserve due to inbreeding. This also compromises with their immunity. Last but not the least, illegal poaching, wildlife trade, severe loss of their prey population is also affecting the tiger population. So what is the way forward? First and foremost is a landscape approach. See, tiger is a territorial species. It doesn't contain itself to one nation or to one habitat. It is bound to move in and above, and that is why conservation of habitat recovery of the prey species, recovery of the entire ecosystem. All of this is included into the landscape approach, which is the need of the hour. Second, we need to deploy rapid response team in order to avoid and in order to recover from any man-wildlife conflict. Then we need to have inter-stakeholder forums so that we can form more inclusive policies made up of indigenous people, conservation agencies, government officials. Then we need to create safe connectivity among the habitats, and we need to also protect the management of the habitat. So this was about tigers. In the second article, we will read about the geopolitics of Indo-Pacific region because it has been highlighted by French President Emmanuel Macron. It pertains to GS2 part of the syllabus where we study about international relations. See, 21st century has seen repositioning of the global order from the Euro-Atlantic region towards the Indo-Pacific region, which makes us important to realize what is the importance, what exactly is Indo-Pacific, what is the significance of this region, and how is India a key player? What is India's strategy towards Indo-Pacific? All of this we will be analyzing in this article. So first and foremost, in simple terms, let us define Indo-Pacific. This is an integrated theater which is comprising of Pacific Ocean and Indian Ocean. This particular term of Indo-Pacific was first coined by German geopolitical scientist Karl Hochhofer, and its importance was enumerated by Spikeman in his Rimland theory. So, in the Rimland theory, Spikeman argued that the rimlands, that is the contiguous littoral states or the contiguous littoral nations, are the ones which are having a leverage of population, a leverage of mineral resources, a leverage of strategic position. And that is why the power which is going to dominate this rimland is ultimately going to dominate the world. And this brought importance, the world focus towards the Indo-Pacific region. What is the geographical interpretation? It varies according to context. So US perceives the geographical the interpretation from its western borders towards the Indian subcontinent, whereas Asian nations like India and Japan, they perceive Indo-Pacific to as far as African subcontinent. Okay. What is the significance of Indo-Pacific region? See, first and foremost, as you can see from the map, it has got Suez Canal, it has got Bab el-Mandeb, it has got Strait of Malacca, it has got Hormuz Strait, and therefore we can say that it has got all the important maritime routes which have been historically very important, which have been since history very, very important for trade, very, very important for communication, for establishment of naval and military bases. So therefore they form important sea lines of communication. It also contains some key choking points. These are those strategic points, these critical points, upon choking of which we block the next part of the world, the other half of the world. So these includes Bab el-Mandeb, these include Suez Canal, these include Madagascar Canal. So these are some of the choking points. Next, it is very rich in trade and economy. This particular region accounts for about 46% of the total global trade, and it accounts for 64% of the global world GDP. Therefore, it has flourishing trade and flourishing economy. Then there is vast richness in the natural resources. It has got methane hydrates, it has got vast coastline in which offshore hydrocarbons are available. It has got rare earth minerals, so on and so forth, rich biodiversity, corals, etc. So these littoral nations of Indo-Pacific nations have got that economic advantage and economic competence over the resources as compared to the other part of the world. Then some challenges are also occurring. For example, increasing militarization of Indian Ocean region. A good part of Indian Ocean has been taken up by China through its One Belt, One Road initiative. Not only China, it has also got military dominance of countries like UK, in Diego Garcia, of France, in Reunion Island, and some naval bases of India is also present. So high militarization is going on. So we also need to be vigilant. Chinese ambitions have been going on. China has been pursuing the string of pearls. It has been disregarding the laws by claiming its historic rights over the region of this 9-dash line. And therefore, it becomes very, very important to be vigilant, to be surveillant in the Indo-Pacific region. So what has India been doing so far? India considers itself as the net security provider of Indo-Pacific region. It has taken a lead. It has been a core strategic partner of these smaller littoral nations, for example, Seychelles, Mauritius, Sri Lanka, Madagascar, etc. We have also been first responder in providing medical aid, in providing humanitarian assistance, especially in the form of Operation Vanilla, in which we provided humanitarian aid to the flood-affected Madagascar island. We have also performed Mission Sagar to provide COVID-related assistance to the littoral nations of Indian Ocean. India also has a lot of or a key interest in the trade and investments. For example, we have got SAFTA agreement with the SAARC nations. We have got comprehensive economic coordination agreement and partnership agreement with South Korea, Japan and ASEAN. Not only that, India understands that militarization is going on and therefore has also been setting up naval bases. So we have naval base in Port Blair, we have naval base in Diego Garcia, in Seychelles, in Lakshadweep Island, in Mauritius, etc. Then we have been conducting joint exercises in order to upskill our naval forces, in order to organize the military forces. So with France, we have been doing Varun exercise. With the Quad counterparts, we have been doing Malabar exercise. India also has got partnerships and groupings with key centrality in the Indo-Pacific region. So we have ASEAN partnership, we have Quad, we have BIMSTEC, and we have trilaterals with countries like Australia and France in order to secure, in order to keep the Indo-Pacific region open and inclusive. Okay. What are the challenges of India? India itself has got limited naval capabilities as compared to China. We also have low number of military bases as compared to US and China, which are constantly trying to build up their hegemony in the region. Also, while India is trying to counter China by developmental efforts like India-Asia Growth Corridor, we have been going very slow paced in this direction. Another thing is, there are different nations. India is taking the lead, but then we have to understand that every nation has got different priorities. Some have got security priority, some have got economic priority. So these non-diverging priorities is also creating a challenge in creating a holistic vision for Indo-Pacific. What is the way forward? First of all, India needs to enhance its engagement and not only include the traditional players like UK, US and China, but also include players like Micronesia, the non-traditional players. India also needs to provide developmental aid and debt resolution to nations which are debt-ridden by the Chinese irrational investments. Then strategic use of island territory, for example, Diego Garcia, for example, Reunion Island, Seychelles Island. India can collaborate with other countries in order to build a holistic naval base over there in order to counter the Chinese ambition. Alright, coming to the next article, here we will talk about plastic pollution. So first of all, what is plastic pollution? Plastic itself is not a menace, but the accumulation, the irresponsible accumulation of plastic, which is causing issues in the environment, in the ecosystem, in the biodiversity, is called plastic pollution. It is highlighted by a report of Unplastic Collective, which states that about 3.5 million tons of plastic is getting generated annually. The demand since 5 years have gone doubled, and only 40% of it has actually been collected and processed. So this is creating the menace. Plastic essentially can be divided into multiple types, but the menace causing plastics are two kinds. First is the microplastic, those having size less than 5 millimeters. Most countries have actually banned them. Then we have single-use plastics. Many countries are about to ban, like India. So single-use plastics are those which are used in the cutleries, which are used in packaging material, which can only be used once. So these causes 60% of the total plastic accumulated waste. Alright, what are the adverse impacts of plastic pollution? There is environmental impact. Environmental impact because of the non-point source cause of this particular plastic pollution. So what happens is, since plastic is prevalent in across different fields and across different sectors in different forms, it is very difficult to figure out from where the plastic is coming, and therefore it's very difficult to nip the source. That is one menace. It causes leaching into the soil. It causes congestion into the flows, causing disasters like floods. It causes air pollution when burned. Some toxins releases. Water pollution again happens. It also leads to destruction of biodiversity. It also leads to destruction of aesthetic visibility of a region, therefore compromising with the tourism revenues. From health perspective, you must have heard that a lot of cows have been dying due to intestinal blockage due to consumption of plastic. So that is one menace on animals. Second is the release of toxins and entering of it into the food chain, causing cancers into humans. Then we have some plastics like bisphenol A, which releases toxins which are prominently anti-androgen hormones, and this also creates hormonal disorders, genetic mutations in humans. Coral depletions are taking place because of the entanglements, because of the development of plastic crusts inside the oceans, and then marine entanglement caused by bottom trawlers, by the huge plastic nets. They are also causing degradation of marine biodiversity. What are the measures taken by Government of India? First and foremost is the launch of Plastic Waste Management Rule of 2016. It has defined the thickness of plastic from 50 microns to about 120 microns with effect from 31st of December 2022. Second, we have also led to complete ban on single use of plastic with effect from 1st of July 2022, and then we have also created extended producer responsibility so that the collection can be targeted to the producer of the plastic. We have got Swachh Bharat mission. After creating ODF villages, we are also now trying to create villages and areas, urban spaces, which have got robust plastic collection mechanisms. We have also some private sector collaborations. For example, we have NGOs like Unplastic Collective, India Plastics Pact, etc., which are working in the direction of reducing plastic pollution. Some behavioral change drives and initiatives are also taken by Government of India. For example, Clean and Glean initiative by government, by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, where it motivates people to go for plogging. Plogging is collecting plastic waste while walking or while jogging. So that is plogging initiative launched by Green and Clean initiative. Then we are also utilizing e-governance. We are creating some apps and national dashboards for monitoring the single-use plastic and plastic waste management. In the global front, we have Plastic Waste Partnership and Global Tourism Plastics Initiative, where stakeholders are coming together, industry, academia, business, and the bureaucrats are coming together to formulate policies in order to reduce the plastic menace. Okay, you can use this in mains examination. Now, what is the way forward? First and foremost, we need to have a participatory approach. We as citizens need also become responsible towards reducing plastic pollution. So what we can do, we can perform plogging. We can have some behavioral changes which can be nudged by government initiatives. We can follow some best practices. For example, Singapore has startups which sells stainless steel bowls and bamboo boxes as an alternative to plastics. We also have PM Gram Sadak Yojana, which is utilizing plastic in the bituminous mix to create the roads. Okay. Then we need to enhance investment in the plastic waste management infrastructure, because that is, India especially is largely lagging in that. We need to collaborate with industry academia for sustainable transition, for a cheaper and affordable transition towards non-plastic alternatives. Enhance affordability of these alternatives is also very, very important. And last but not the least, we need to promote circular economy so that we reduce the generation of plastic altogether. All right. Coming to the next topic, we will deal with UDAN scheme from prelims point of view. Let's first understand what is the scheme. This is a regional connectivity scheme, also calls for regional development of the airports across the nation, especially to develop the transport, logistics, and the overall development in the underserved areas, especially the hilly areas, the island areas, and the tribal areas. It was launched under National Civil Aviation Policy of 2016. It is a 10-year long policy which has objectives of enhancing connectivity across the nation, enhancing affordability, because the flights are going to be operated at very, very cheap rates, to increase the developmental outcomes across the nation, which will increase equity in the development, to have tourism expansion, and to create employment in the civil aviation sector. What are the key features? First and foremost, to make the whole civil aviation very, very affordable. So 50% of the total seats of an aircraft will be capped to a particular fare, that is of 2,500 rupees for 1 hour of flight. Second, the scheme and the government realizes that there will be a gap between the maintenance cost, the operational cost, and the revenue generated by the aircraft or by the airline. So in order to fill that gap, there will be a fund created in the name of Regional Connectivity Fund, which will be providing viability gap funding to bridge this gap. This particular scheme has been rolling out in phases. In phase 1, launched in 2017, it has been connecting underserved and unserved airports of the country. So it has created 70 airports then. In the phase 2, the very next year, 2018, it went to more remote and inaccessible parts of the country. In the same year, it went to increase infrastructure, aviation infrastructure in the hilly and remote parts of the country. And in the phase 4, it went to the development of island airport infrastructure. Currently, we are running in the phase 5th of Udan or Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik policy, which is targeting category 2 and category 3 aircrafts. Udan also has got connectivity for farmers so that they will be able to sell their farm produce across the nation. This is called Krishi Udan. And for connecting the smaller cities with foreign destinations, we have International Udan. So this is again, it has got 3 components. One, Lifeline Udan for the domestic airlines. For agriculture, transport and logistics, we have Krishi Udan, and for foreign destinations, we have International Udan. What has been the achievement so far? See, since its beginning, since the commencement of this particular policy, we have seen that the operational airports have gone up to about 141 airports. Then, which has served 68 underserved and unserved destinations across 29 states and UTs of the India. It has beneficiaries of about more than 1 crore passengers. So far, it has been a good scheme. Coming to the last topic of the day, this is where we analyze Delhi's air pollution. The capital of India is one of the most polluted cities of the world, and that is why Government of India needed to bring up some reforms. It needed to bring up some initiatives. One was targeted to enhance the awareness of the residents of Delhi in order to perceive the quality of air around them. And for this, in the year 2014, Government of India launched National Air Quality Index. Now, this particular index was launched with a theme called One Number, One Color, One Description, so that the common man can very easily understand the quality of air around his vicinity or around his neighborhood. It was developed by Central Pollution Control Board, a statutory body formed under Waters Act 1972, along with IIT Kanpur and along with some expert members. What is the parameter? How do we judge the quality of the air? With the help of 8 determinants, that is 8 air pollutants. These includes particulate matter 2.5, particulate matter 10. This includes nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, ozone, very, very important, ammonia and lead. With the help of these 8 parameters, they have indexed or divided the index into total 6 categories, ranging from good to severe. And currently, because we have scored 59, which means we are in the score of satisfactory. So this was about the analyst of today. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.